Welcome to You Got to Laugh to Keep from Crying. My name is O.W. Sweeney. I'm here with my co-host, my brother, and an old friend, Richard Courts. How you doing today, my good brother?
Very good, Brother Sweeney.
All right,
Very good.
all right then.
Yeah.
Let's give the North Carolina
Triad
Jobs
with Justice.
Where you can reach us at 336-272-2758. And from talking to you, I think you want to go back a week.
I want to continue
last week's show.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is like why I'm proud to be a left-wing political talk show host with you.
You say left wing, I say somebody who's fighting for the people.
Yeah, but no, I was saying the part about that we're talk show hosts together.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Yeah.
People call us leftists. They
Right.
call us communists.
Right.
But the one word they don't really use, they should call us righteous because we're here
for the
to
people.
fighting for the people.
Right.
Not
alongside
not
the people.
Wall Street.
Right.
But the street.
Yeah, the main street.
That's right.
Right, exactly. And not only for the people, but you and I are also believers in fighting alongside the people.
That's right.
Because we're part of the people.
That's right.
Right. So, but this is like a part two, as I see it, of the idea of why someone like me can be proud to be a left-wing political talk show host.
Okay.
And working alongside you, my brother. And so there's reasons why we needed to. I wanted to continue last week's show.
And the way I see it,
Go ahead.
from my point of view, this is my way of trying to follow whom I consider my Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ.
Right.
In his fight for the people.
Right. And when you
I can't do everything he can, but I could try.
Right. And that's
do some of the things he
right.
did.
And when you talk about that motivation, I can't help but think about the main human inspiration that I have, whose name is Paul Robeson.
Oh yeah.
And so that's where I'm at. And
You say inspiration, I say obsession. But go ahead.
well, I might say that about you, but anyway, that's not what we're doing on today's show. But whatever our inspiration and or our obsession, it brings us very close together.
That's right.
Because we see things very much similarly.
Well, not everything.
No,
We don't
I
agree
said,
on everything.
I said,
But-
but even though we come at things from a somewhat different direction, but not our confidence in the people, and our trust in the people, and the ability of the people to finally, in the end, take the righteous path.
Open their eyes and see for themselves.
Right, and that's why we do the show and do it together,
That's right.
and been doing it together for a long time. But it is interesting that there was what I call a humorous title of an article in yesterday's paper, yesterday's News and Record, an editorial by a writer named Froma Harrop, and the title of the piece is "Trump Suddenly Finds the Profit Motive a Shocking Idea," and I hope that it brings.
I know she didn't say that with a straight face.
Exactly right. I think she must have, if she used emojis, I think she would have had a big smile on her face at least.
Might even heard herself laughing. Go ahead.
Okay. And we're taking off from the same starting point that we had for the previous show, and that is Donald Trump's, and now I'm quoting her opening, Donald Trump's whirlwind visit to Qatar was certainly an extravaganza. And she quotes the New York Times saying, "Red and lavender carpets, Arabian horses, glitzy chandeliers, camels, sword dances." And then she says, "Sounded like a night at Studio 54." And then she says, back on Main Street, USA, things look less fabulous. And so Trump's tariffs have been menacing the nation's retailers, including the biggest, Walmart. And Trump's advice to Walmart, which she exposes him, but we will expose him a little bit.
Did Walmart expose him?
Yeah, actually, exactly, yeah, that's right. Walmart exposed him, and that's why he came back at a big company like Walmart, because they did expose him. But he also was clever enough, Trump, to continue to appeal to his base, because if enough of these exposures take place of him, he'll lose that MAGA base. And
I have to question my decision.
Well, but let me raise my argument, though.
Yeah, I understand that, but how much do they have to see?
But no two people see the same particular breaking. No two people have the same breaking point.
I understand that.
And I would have thought, for example, that after Trump pardoned Steve Bannon, after Bannon was convicted
don't forget
of fraud.
Don't forget all those people who went up into the Capitol.
No, wait a minute. No. Let me make a point, though, O.W.
I understand.
But when Trump pardoned Steve Bannon in particular, Bannon had been convicted of fraud against Trump's MAGA base. And that specifically, he got money from the MAGA base to build the wall that Trump had promised Mexico would pay for. Okay. And he was convicted of it, and he was going to prison, and he put that money in his pocket, but he still was able and the main thing is not that Bannon was able to stay with it, but that Trump was able to stay with it, because Trump was giving his blessing to the fact that Bannon had committed fraud against Trump's own base. His people.
His followers.
That's right.
The people who worship him.
So that would have been a time that I would have said, geez, he ought to lose him. And
I want to go back. All those criminals who went to the Capitol. I'm just adding on to you.
Yeah.
And all the things in between.
Right.
Let's even throw in what he told Western North Carolina. How much do you have to see to know this man means you no good?
Right.
How much?
So that's right.
Is that what and basically that's why some people call it a cult rather than a movement.
Yeah. At any rate, to open up the show, or at least to begin to open up the show again to the idea about the value of left-wing political educators, political talkers and talk show hosts, is to compare us, people like, I'll say myself, or I would like to include you in that, and I do include you, because we do this show together, collaboratively, collectively, and that is that almost every talking head in the media and in the podcasts and all is either a center force or an outright right-wing force. And those people share this in common, that they try to educate or miseducate their listeners to the idea that there's no real connection between politics and economics. And so this is where, it's part of the answer to the question why the MAGA base is still with Trump to a large extent, is because they and the liberals and all of these people in between and everything, they have been taught that politics and economics are separate. So only when somebody like you comes along, or me, and uses the big B word, bribe. About the connection to the officials, right?
All right.
Then you begin to see
which you don't need no PhD to figure out.
That absolutely true. But the fact is, if the whole media mega system is filled with the basic lie that politics and economics are separate, then people are not thinking about things generally in the way of connecting the dots. So that's why this is a good teaching moment on that issue.
This is why I like to use this phrase.
Go ahead.
By Carter G. Woolton, in the name of his book. The Miseducation of the Negro was the name of his book. But in actuality, it should be called The Miseducation of the Citizens of the United States of America.
Amen, brother.
Okay?
Wait a minute, give me that.
Okay? And my reason is plainly simple this here.
Yeah.
When they make laws, who do they make the laws for? The politicians. When they make the laws to favor who?
Well,
Big business.
Right.
Wall Street. The billionaires.
Right.
Not the people. For instance, I can't think of what year they made this law, but a consumer got a right to complain about a bill that was misprinted or something was done wrong on his account for 60 days. The corporation got infinity. Now, you're going to say to me, you need a PhD to figure out that politics and
economics
are different when you should be looking at they're joined at the hip because the laws are made to protect the money.
Yeah, and my only, I absolutely, except when the people are awake and willing to fight against capital. We're willing to fight against the billionaires, and that's what we're coming into now. But I just want to give a couple of points that show that Trump, in particular, beside the Bannon point and the eat the tariffs point, where Trump came at Walmart, such a giant, big capitalist firm.
Number one in the nation of the United States.
Absolutely.
Number one retailer.
By far, that's right. But he had to come at them because what Walmart did, as you said in the beginning of the show, was they were exposing Trump, just like almost every political commentator differed with Trump on the question of the role of tariffs, and almost all of them said, until the Republicans went silent, that the tariffs amounted to basically inflation that meant because it was going to be paid by you and me and the other.
It's a tax on the
masses
Main
of
Street.
people. That's right.
The workers.
That's right. And that basically that's it. So now Walmart was telling the
Came
truth.
clean?
Yeah, the biggest of all the consumer companies. They came clean on it, and so Trump had to come back at them, and he sounded militant, and he sounded almost like we would be.
He was irritated.
No, wait a minute. He was clever, because he's trying to say, he even said that the previous year that Walmart had made billions in profits. So he was, making this
Which
appeal.
previous year was you talking about?
Whatever the one before he was talking.
And the one before that one? And the one before that one?
But he wasn't talking about those.
Yeah, but what
he
I'm
was
saying
doing,
is,
absolutely. He could
Wall
have been.
Street had been saying billions of dollars for over years.
It's not just
new.
Wall Street.
I
it's
understand
Walmart. And specifically Walmart, he took them on in rhetoric. He said by saying, you eat the tariffs, in other words, because you've already made all this money, even though Trump has never given up the first dime of the stuff. Here's a guy that's out there begging for an airplane from some Arab sheiks. You
want to take a bribe.
He's gonna get every piece of money. I want to get into this one thing, that Trump had had a political guru. His first political political advisor, was Roy Cohn, one of the scummiest human beings ever to walk this earth. He was the right-hand man of Senator Joseph McCarthy. And so he's going back a long way. See, when he met Trump, he was already at the end of his, almost at the end of his days, and Trump was just starting out. And Trump's father was very happy to have his son school this guy, and he's the one that schooled Trump.
Take him under his wing, that's all.
And he schooled Trump on, and he was a big fixer in New York, and he taught Trump never to admit any mistake that you ever make, and specifically the case they were dealing with was Trump and his father were slumlords. They were discriminating against Afro-American people and other peoples, and instead of doing a settlement, which was what the original advice that they got with the state authorities, they fought it, and Roy Cohn was the one that taught them to always sue and always fight every one of these things and never admit when you're wrong. Now, his later, and he died, and it's interesting that Trump walked away from him by the end of his life. But his other guru, who's gone on for many years now, is Roger Stone. Roger Stone, and I would urge our audience.
Roger Stone or Oliver Stone?
No. Roger Stone.
Are these two different people?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
Roger. I know Oliver Stone
is a movie maker, and he made some good movies on all too. Yeah, no. Roger Stone is Trump's political advisor. He's the one. So he had a Netflix special, probably in 2017 it came out, and I believe the title is Go Get Roger Stone. But it was one of the most shameful performances that anyone's ever done. But in essence, again, Roger Stone was Trump's, and is Trump's today, political guru. But on his own Netflix show, only about him, he was saying that he didn't have any politics, that he was about getting the most money that he could get, which means that
making big campaign contributions.
Not just that.
Oh, you're saying they bribed?
It was bigger. It was bigger. It was much bigger than that. But the aim, his aim, was to make money. It had nothing to do with politics. And what he said was that my strategy is to divide the country in half and then lean one way. And that was his strategy for how to make the maximum him money. And that was what he obviously advised Donald Trump to do. So Trump had no and you can see it in Trump's conduct in relation to the Ukraine. Trump originally, when Zelensky first went in, Trump was recorded illegally, actually, telling Zelensky that he was going to he was going to prevent the massive military and other support from the U.S.
Took it away from him.
That he threatened to.
No, he did.
Excuse me, but he threatened to, but he did not. He could not do it openly, and none of the liberals, none of the conservatives, none of the Democrats
called him on it
at all. That he was doing something that was illegal then, which, just like what he's done in this second term, that was something that had already been allocated by the Congress to go to the Ukraine. Trump had no right at all to be threatening to deal with that stuff. But he immediately, when Zelensky would not do the one thing Trump asked him to do, which was to go on in the public and say that the Ukrainian government was looking into Joe Biden's and the Biden family's connections in there. And Zelensky, who probably already had a deal with the Biden and Democratic elements, but he refused to do it. And Trump did try to stop those things from happening. But he could. But in reality, at that point, he had no ability to stop it. But that's how quickly he pivoted on the Ukraine. Now, on the same issue with the Ukraine, where he's been with his bosom buddy, Putin, on all this time, he's now pivoted away from Putin. And why is it? It's because where's the money?
know.
Where is the damn money? Okay, so that's one pivot. Wait a minute. On the $450 million airplane that the kind-hearted Arabian sheiks of Qatar are trying to give to this poor president, he's reversed himself on Qatar now. In his first term, he was denouncing this very president of Qatar for being a backer of Hamas and also all these so-called terrorists. And he was saying he even had a $10 million bounty on his head. Now, in the last couple of weeks, he's describing the very same young man, but still relatively young, as being this great young man and all. A total pivot on that question of Qatar.
Could I say something
Yeah.
that's on my mind that I just can't I just can't seem to get out of them sitting there laughing at it.
Right.
As a young human being growing up in Brooklyn, New York,
Right.
Back then when you was gay, it was supposed to be you get ostracized and all that
Right.
stuff like that.
Right.
As you know, they always lay the red carpet out for people. Back then, in the 60s and 70s, lavender was supposed to be a gay man's thing.
Okay.
So now I'm wondering that Trump.
No, I don't think. I think this lavender,
Now,
it probably has a different.
But this is what it put into my mind.
yeah.
That Trump goes over there and they gave him the big lavender.
Well, yeah, they gave him the
carpet.
royal. They gave him the royal treatment.
So I wonder if they're trying to tell us something.
Yeah. Well,
on the
I don't
slide
know.
there.
I don't think so.
Okay.
But anyway, but you know,
I just keep laughing at that.
And listen, beside the plane is like the most naked thing of all, in terms of
Naked?
In terms of how naked Trump's interest is, not in any serving the public of the United States or the world, which would be even healthier, but of just serving himself and maybe his own dynastic family themselves. That plane is the most concrete, dramatic example, and especially how it's helped him reverse himself on the country of Qatar.
Yeah.
Okay. But another thing
Throw him
that
a few compliments and he's on your side.
no, throw him a $450 million plane, and he's on your side. But not only that, but basically his crypto heist. Last year, Trump was warning about how bad cryptocurrency was.
Was any money in it for him then?
No.
Is there any money in it for him now?
Yes.
Okay.
So guess what? Now crypto is got, and I think he's got cryptocurrency with his wife's face on it and stuff like that. But anyway, so that's crypto, and they're making the laws so that they can rip off the people of the country and beyond, this country and beyond.
But economics and politics is different.
Yeah, right. They're separate.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, and then the question of the tariffs, OW. Basically, Trump has not been held to account for all of these arbitrary, well, let's say China, you got 150 45%
Yeah.
increase by being tariffed by Trump. Oh, well, let's make it 30% instead. And there's no control that anyone has exercised as yet over Trump. It's a incredible global wide stock manipulation move, and even the evil Greene, what's her first name, from Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, the white supremacist supreme congresswoman from Georgia. She obviously made money from and is still making, but made money from Trump's arbitrary decisions. All of this adds up to the fact that it's only the left-wing people like ourselves who recognize the truth that politics and economics are totally tied together. They are joined at the hip. And brother, we and our fellow workers in the United States and around the world,
in our unity
lies our strength.